Welcome to How You Livin, a transformative podcast featuring best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and minister, Dr. Rick Rigsby. And now, Dr. Rick.
Hello, friends. Thanks so much for listening. This episode is part of our ongoing conversation titled The Essence of Greatness. This series is based on the belief that not everyone will be successful. Everyone can be successful. We all have the capacity, but not everyone is willing to pay the price for success. This is a series born as a result of my health journey over the past few years. You see, after decades of failed attempts, I literally convinced myself that I could not lose weight. I had thoughts like, I can't, or it's too hard, or what's the point? I'm just meant to be big. Well, I decided a few years ago to change my thinking. As a result, I've lost over 100 pounds and I'm healthy for the first time in years. I've also learned some invaluable, transformative, life-changing lessons along the way. One huge lesson was facing and answering the why question. A pivotal lesson here, the why question. Why should I lose weight? Why should I endure the pain? Why should I go through this? The answer became so blatantly obvious that I could no longer run from facing a certain future of poor health and all the devastating consequences that accompany such a condition, not just for me, but for my family as well, all because I couldn't control my impulses. The lesson is simple. If we don't know why we should transform our lives, we won't transform our lives. It was British statesman Francis Bacon who said on one occasion, the duty and office of rhetoric is to apply reason to imagination for the better moving of the will. Translation, reason moves the will. And for me, the why offered reasons that motivated me to change my life and withstand the pain. So part one of this series is subtitled The Pain of Success. In this episode, I discuss why pain is critical to any type of growth. Author Samuel Chan wrote a fantastic book titled Leadership Pain, The Classroom for Growth. One quote in particular has remained with me for years. Chan stated, quote, when you interpret your pain as bigger, more important, more threatening, more comprehensive than your vision, you'll redefine your vision down to the threshold of your pain, end quote. In summary, without pain, there is no growth. And if we cannot answer the why question, we'll become reluctant to endure the pain. Part two is subtitled The Blueprint for Success. Here's the thesis. The choice you make when facing hard in life determines everything else. Remember what my previous thinking was? I'm not changing my life because it's too hard. Friends, success has a price tag. The price tag is called hard. If it was easy, everyone would be successful. If you believe this, as I do, that great people do things that others don't, try beginning your day with this motto: do hard better. In fact, take that page from your grandparents' playbook. Don't run from hard, embrace hard. Do hard better. I like that. Blogger Tim Denning put it best in a post published by Success Magazine. I will go no further than just the title of the post. Here it is. If your life sucks, it's proof that you need to do more hard things. I love that. Part three of this series is subtitled Becoming Comfortable Being Uncomfortable. Early in my journey, I realized that anything worth accomplishing forces you to get out of your comfort zone. I made some painful discoveries about myself during this process, and they all pointed to one glaring conclusion. I preferred comfort more than challenge, and convenience more than change. I'm learning every single day that I must yield control in order to gain control. That I must be willing to have a teachable spirit and not a prideful attitude. And most important, I must always answer the why question. For years, I thought losing weight was easy. And truthfully, it is. What's hard is the daily commitment to the process and learning to become comfortable being uncomfortable with relinquishing control, challenging old assumptions and habits, developing that teachable spirit, understanding the power of emotions, and a big one for me, learning the difference between hunger and need. Losing weight is easy. Transforming your life is hard. It's uncomfortable. The question is this: if you're not satisfied with your current state, are you willing to pay the price being uncomfortable requires? I will never forget the words of author Samuel Chan in the Leadership Pain book. He said, "Growth equals change. Change equals loss. Loss equals pain. So inevitably, growth equals pain." If we're not willing to buck the trend and live with discomfort, we should not expect to grow. Seemingly, our unwillingness to be uncomfortable is rooted in habits and patterns we're reluctant to challenge, even if they don't offer the desired results. You see, it's a lot easier to do the familiar and avoid the pain of growth than risk changes that might disrupt our routines. Disrupt, a powerful word, and a perfect transition for this episode that I've simply subtitled Disruption. Disruptive thinkers add huge value to any organization. Such thinkers drive organizational change with innovative and creative solutions by challenging existing paradigms. These thinkers perpetuate forward progress with creativity that demands they remain ahead of the constantly evolving environment. They think outside the box, which always motivates them to see things that others may not. I've heard it stated that if all you see is what you see, you don't see all there is that needs to be seen. Winston Churchill, for example, was a disruptive thinker. In fact, Winston Churchill disrupted the collective thinking of Great Britain during World War II. How about Martin Luther King Jr.? He was a big-time disruptive thinker. He not only challenged the existing norms in society with regard to race relations and segregation, but he disrupted the thinking of co-civil rights workers by suggesting that they not hate their oppressor, but they love their oppressor. Wow, you talk about disrupting one's thinking. I love March Madness, the NCAA's college basketball tournament, which, by the way, is occurring as I tape this podcast. It's been so exciting to watch the women's teams become the story this year. Their skill, their execution, and competitiveness have not only pushed the women to the forefront of the tournament, but their play and the emergence of several superstars have combined to literally disrupt the collective mindset of college basketball. It is awesome. And America has fallen in love with women's college basketball. I want to close this episode by sharing one of my favorite stories that demonstrates the power of disrupting our thinking. You may not know his name. His name is Mark Randolph, but I can state with confidence you've certainly heard of his company. But first, the backstory, as recorded in Randolph's book, That Will Never Work. Here's the backstory. Back in the 1990s, Blockbuster was king of the video world. Do y'all remember going to Blockbuster back in the 90s? You'd have your blue Blockbuster membership card. You'd rent several movies. You'd only watch one or two, but you'd return all of them before the late fee was charged. So back in the 1990s, Blockbuster had 9,000 stores, 60,000 employees. They were the kings of the video renting world, right? Mark Randolph and his business partner, Reed Hastings, secured an appointment with Blockbuster's corporate folks. Here was the pitch. We'll give you 49% of our company if you allow us to be your online video rental arm. Blockbuster literally laughed Randolph and Hastings out of the building. Randolph said at that point, he and Hastings had to figure out a way to disrupt the video world. Step number one, they had to disrupt their own thinking. The rest is history. Blockbuster filed Chapter 11 in 2010. Blockbuster has gone from 9,000 stores to one in Bend, Oregon. from 60,000 employees to just a handful of employees that operate that Oregon store. Meanwhile, Mark Randolph and Reed Hastings, their little company has done quite well. You may have heard of it, Netflix. Today, Netflix has a valuation of $150 billion. But the very first step to making a $1 billion valuation was disrupting their thinking on a daily basis. Friends, if disruption can result in corporate billions, just imagine how dramatically our lives would change, how dramatically our lives would improve simply by disrupting our thinking on a daily basis. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Rick asking the most important question I can ask. How you living?
Are you ready to make an impact in your world right now? Do you want to stop existing and start living your best life right now? Dr. Rick wants to give you the first chapter of his best-selling book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, absolutely free. Just go to www.rickrigsby.com/free gift to get the print or audiobook right now.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.